What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys, as promised a couple of videos ago, bringing back a series that I started last year that you guys seem to love. And I do plan, like I said way back then, on doing it on an annual basis, and that is my top 5 currents for the main 4 categories in battle rap. So we're going to talk top 5 anglers, top 5 performers, which was such a recent conversation, top 5 pens, which always has the most debate. I'm preparing for it, but we are starting out with my top 5 current punchers in 2025. And just to set some ground rules, first of all, I implore or think that you guys should go watch my 2024 list, because I am going to mention here, since a lot of those names are repeat names, right? In a year's time, while there's people that climb the ranks or a little bit of switching, mostly switching in ranks, you are going to see a lot of the same names on these lists that you saw in 2024. Like I said, with that exception of a couple people that climbed in the ranks and mostly re-ranking if guys had a different year, kind of changed that hierarchy up a little bit. Also, we're talking about active, right? We're talking about the current best in the sport. So, for the most part on these lists, maybe outside of honorable mentions, because I will have 2 honorable mentions for each video. We try to make it quick because you don't want to have like 12 names that could all compete for a top 5, right? It is a very subjective sport, but you're not going to see guys like Mook and Lux or people that only pop out once a year or once every other year making these lists. I'm really trying to base it on like who's currently in the league in a sense, right? Because you could always argue that Lux is the best pen in battle rap. You could always argue that Mook is the best angler in battle rap. There is variance because you'll have a time where, Mook is maybe, or Lux is leaving off the Geechee Gotti performance. Someone will be like, how would you put him in the top pens? That doesn't take away from his ability. He has a showing like his Rum Nitty battle, and then it's no question why he's up there talent-wise. But I'm really looking at top tiers or, mid tiers that super duper are like specifically great at one category and are active with it and really are like at the forefront of the sport right now. I don't really have a minimum to that, but we are talking guys for the most part that are battling 4 or 5 times a year, if not more than that. But like I said, starting with the punchers list here, I feel like there's always kind of some of the same names in the category. We're going to start out with a couple honorable mentions, and then we'll get into my ranks for the best of 2025. So to quickly go over those honorable mentions, the first one is one that was in the honorable mentions last year as well, and this is someone that's so much more than this, such an all-around battle rapper, a GOAT candidate. Some would debate the best in the world right now, but I don't think he ever gets his respect that this is really the basis of his style, and they never put him in this convo, which I understand, but I think Tay-Rock is someone you have to mention when we talk about great punchers. And I know he does more with the rhyme pockets than ever before. I'll keep saying it, the last 3 to 4 years, it's been a renaissance for him in terms of like the flow pockets and putting the multisyllabics together. And then what he is as a performer, his delivery itself is really where a lot of the power comes from. Not much of an angler though. So when you look at the content, he's punching. He's punching. And like I said, more of an all-around battle rapper, but that's more of his style than people give it credit for, and there's a reason that he is consistently one of the better battle rappers in the world. Obviously, we're going to be having Cody conversations very soon for 2024, and he's going to undoubtedly be high up there as well. For some people, he might flat out be the Cody. So someone that it's not the basis of his style like some other guys that really specialize in it, so I wouldn't put him in the top 5, but he's someone that I think never fully gets the credit for how much he does it. And then my second honorable mention is someone that is going to be new to the list as a whole, really put himself on the radar in 2024, specifically as a pure puncher, and that is King, the best talent over there in the trenches in my opinion. Been a big fan of his work. It is a straight shooter style. It's like a mix of like a Saint and a Danny Myers, not just because he looks like Saint. I think he sounds like Saint a little bit too. And then he's got that like super on top of you like aggression, like serial killer-esque aggression that a Danny Myers has. But that is the entirety of his style, and I think he's worked in angling in his thirds. I wish he did it more versus Cortez. He was a little tailored in the third. I wanted to see more like what he did in the third versus Los Prime, or what he did in the third versus Zeta Dropout. But that still leaves him about 80-90% punching, I'd say. And he's fantastic at it, man. There's a reason that he's climbing the ranks. Like I said, the Cortez battle, a lot of people did. I had him winning live. A lot of people still had him winning after the fact with the battle. I do reward that Cortez the W on the rewatch though, and that goes to show, just as a battle rapper, aside from punching for a second, more of that all-around game could help him. But he has the punching down pat. That's what's gotten him on the map. And if he continues there with adding the little skills with it, as long as that's the emphasis of his style, you might see King in a top 5 punchers list from me a year or two down the road. And getting into the top 5 itself, and as I kind of preface with all these lists, you're going to see a lot of repeat names because in a year's time, not a lot is going to change. But especially with the punchers list, it is truly a reorganized version of the 5 last year. I do have all the same names. I don't think anybody cracked into like a new level of the list, but I think that the hierarchy has definitely changed a little bit. So at number 5, dropping a spot from number 4 last time I did it, is Big K. And I think I already kind of said this last year where his style was moving more in an angle-based direction anyways, as there was a point where for years he was just a punchliner pretty much, and now I think he's more of an angler than anything. If I'm correct, I believe that I had him number 1 angler last year when I did the anglers list. Let me check real quick. I did. I had him as the number 1 angler, and we'll get to that when we have the angles conversation, but I think that's now really the crux of his style. I think the punching complements it. He still has his 2 to 4 bar setups, his signature flow that leads to those key haymakers. And if you look at his work last year, I think the lasting impression for everyone is the Twerk battle. And I think that is a fair reason as well. Not the main reason, but plays at least a part. I even say a little bit of a factor in dropping him, facing New Jersey Twerk, and the way how dominantly he lost someone else who was on the top 5 punchers list for me last year. But even then, his work outside of the Tay-Rock battle, very good, more angle-based than anything. One of the more debatable battles I've really covered ever, but especially in the last few years. But outside of that, more lower profile work. Next on the Riot, what was it, Riot versus Rap-Off, he battled Appa on iBattle. Him and Marv had a silly, like a parody battle. Neither of them really tried. Then he battled out in Ireland. I can't remember the gentleman's name. Dialect, I believe it was. And actually a super underrated K performance. You even checked it out. He snapped when he went out to Ireland. And that was mainly punch-based, to be honest with you. But I still think ability-wise he's in there. It's more about, I don't think anybody ran up. Where I even look at my honorable mentions, I wouldn't put King over him as a puncher. I think Tay-Rock, you could definitely say is a better all-around battle rapper than Big K, but I wouldn't say like just as a puncher, I would quite put him over K either. But I think that there's enough where a couple other guys are more synonymous with that category right now, especially with him going through that more style emphasizing in the tailored and angled direction, which is why I have him dropping 1 spot here to number 5. Then at number 4, which is always a tough one, and I think out of all the people we're going to talk about, this is a guy who is a bit of an enigma. It's going to be polarizing. Some people think he could be number 1. Some people think that his style, I've heard people say putting him as a puncher boxes him in, right? But that is New Jersey Twerk here at number 4, dropping from the number 2 spot last year. And there's a mix of reasons why I did this, but I'll say that this is like the hardest one to logically explain, to be honest with you, because to be real, New Jersey Twerk is debatably top 5 in like a lot of different categories. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about performing, punching, and I think he's even become kind of reverted to his earlier days, 2017, 2018, where he's been more pen-based than ever. There's so much detail in the setup, and that new signature move where he repeats a bar over, like the Anne Frank bar versus Kid Slade, or the oil change bar versus Kid Slade, where or versus Big K, where he brought back oil chains like 6 different times. So he's done so much. He's just tough to grade, man, because you could put him in so many of those conversations. All around might be the best battle rapper at his best, and like pound for pound in battle rap could truly be argued as the best. So if you have him spots higher like I did last year, or if you think it's like unfair, overwhelming to throw him on like multiple different lists, I understand. He's the toughest one to grade here, but he did have some inconsistencies earlier in the year, like when he did in 2024 when he did lose to T-Top, Clone. I think he lost to Wise on Gates of the Garden, just silly stuff like that. I don't think that these other great punchers, who when you see the 3 names above him, I think that that's more engraved in their style. That's really what they're considered, which is why they'll be a bit higher, while being also extremely elite, is if not as elite battle rappers in the current moment, while he's more of that all-around talent that we're talking about, right? So I have New Jersey Twerk at 4. It's my best explanation, because some of you are going to be like, why is he on here? He's not just that. And some of you are going to be like, he's basically number 1. I completely understand. But because of those little inconsistencies and guys who are more based in that puncher's lane, got him here at number 4. And at number 3, exactly where he was last year. You could argue, I know some people that damn near think he's getting argued that number 1 spot, but I do have Fonz at number 3, who is just incredible. I think every year I've always viewed him as dangerous, but it's just more and more dangerous. Like, and he had another, I'd almost say sneaky good because people don't almost talk about it as much as some of these other years, but beat Ichi Gotti on Nome. Had him beating Miss Hustle in the first 2 rounds, although debatable battle. He did choke in the third. I understand people that got Hustle, but Fonz's wordplay in that, especially in the first round, his punching was fantastic. The Chef Trez battle was incredible on URL. One of their best battles, one of the best battles in Battle Rap last year. And then you even go to his lower work, smoked Jay Mills, went over to Black Ice and won I forgot exactly who he battled over there, smoked that. 1-rounder versus Nakeem the Poet on iBattle, smoked him. So he's just doing more of what he did last year. I think the only thing that could get Fonz up a couple more is just those signature plates. Because when we're talking about best current day, it's a lot about like proving it too, right? Because you're battling you're going up against some of the other best active, and I just think it's a couple more signature plates. I really want to see that John Dodon plate. I want to see him battle Big K. I would love Fonz versus New Jersey Twerk, and a couple of those signature plates raise the profile where the couple guys above him, you could debate ability-wise, it's splitting hairs. I can understand Fonz maybe being higher off preference for some people, but then it's taking that talent and doing it in the biggest moments. I just think a couple other guys, you could debate Twerk's done that as well. I think it's more the backbone of Fonz's style punching is than it straight up is New Jersey Twerk, and you add those little bit of inconsistencies from Twerk early in the year last year. But Fonz, incredible, and with a couple signature plates to match kind of profile, this is the type of guy who could be the number 1 puncher in the world one day. And at number 1 and number 2, not only are this is my rank for the best current day punchers 2025 in Battle Rap, but this is also my rank for the 2 best punchers ever in Battle Rap. That's how much respect I have for the 2 gentlemen I'm about to talk about. And here at number 2, I do have Av, who is coming off of a career high monster 2024. We talked about, Twerk started his year slower, but then ended it with the pass battle, with the Big K battle. Fonz had another good year, and I almost said sneaky good year, right? Nothing sneaky about Av's 2024. He has been dynamite. He did have those higher profile when you talk about the Hollow Dodon battle. I think what he was able to do in that was pretty incredible. The A-Ward battle on Power Moves, which we know what Twerk did, what Av did versus A-Ward, someone else who is like currently one of the better, tougher battle rappers in the world, and the way that he super duper clearly won that battle. Even the Chef Trez battle, which I had him edging the victory. I think it's the closest battle he had last year, but I think Chef Trez has been rapping at like a top 5 level for the past couple years, and we saw how Av got with him. Now, someone could debate Av at number 1. I know that he's always going to be considered a puncher before anything, but I think, and this happens with a lot of any category that someone gets put in, but the real magic of Av's 2024 is the all-around game. I think you could debate his best performance as the A-Ward battle, right? And I've been saying this for years. Av has better showings on big stages than he has small rooms. When you get the guy in the big stage, the Danny Myers battle, the Arsenal battle, the A-Ward battle, and so on and so forth, he is amazing. Like, he's really found that formula that he struggled a little bit with early in his career to shake the big stage. And that's even going back to something like his chess performance and stuff like that. He always had that ability, but now he really can't miss on big stages. So I think that speaks to his performance a little bit. I think he's more of an angler than ever. The Hollow battle's a great example. Some people didn't love his execution. I do think, aside from skill, I think his round time and kind of trying to out-time rap people at times overshadowed the quality that he had in the rounds as well, because he did have some long-ass rounds in some of these battles. But as a puncher, I do view him as a top 2 puncher of all time. His body of work, I think his numbers get a little bit underrated, compared to some people that they would throw up there. And then his body, like, Akan is always going to have better numbers than an Av, and some people would be like, he's one of the originators, the godfathers. But you look at Av, the amount of SMs and Gnomes, the performances he's given, the resume, the amount of W's. I mean, I don't got the guy losing a battle since 2021, and damn sure hasn't lost one clear, which is the B-Dot battle. It's the last time I had him losing. It's a very long time ago, man. So he has been world class for quite some time, always been a top tier talent. I think this year the noise matched the quality as well, and that's why somebody debated him at number 1, especially after 2024. I couldn't be mad at it. I think the magic is a little bit more in the angling and the performance he doesn't get credit for, but no lower than number 2. He's number 5 last year when I made this list, and now he is back really where he should be, which is no question fighting for the number 1 spot. And at number 1, I do have Rum Nitty, right? And I think that in terms of you just compare the year, right? Because you could always say Rum Nitty's the number 1 puncher. If you compare the year, Av had a better 2024 than Rum Nitty. I don't think there's much of a conversation there, right? But I guess my best comparison is that I do love myself some basketball, right? Is that, Steph Curry is the best shooter in the world. And not every year does Steph Curry lead the league in three-point percentage? You know what I'm saying? We've seen Damian Lillard sometimes at his peak almost rival Curry sometimes in the percentage, the amount of makes. But even if he doesn't necessarily lead in that stat based around the all-around year, you would be hard-pressed to say Steph Curry is not the best shooter alive. That's kind of the analogy that I use with Rumnitty, where I just think he's such an anomaly as a puncher where even in a year where he had some more slip-ups, he ended up choking on some small release to Keese, Mr. Man. I do think out of a lot of his major battles, from Real Sick to Loaded Lux, to Eunice to Vixen, damn near all battle of the night, so the quality's still there. I do think most, if not all of them, are debatable, right? So depending on how you viewed it, if you had him losing a couple battles last year, if you're someone that maybe had him winning more than he lost last year, there could be some variance to that convo, and I could see someone dropping Rumnitty to number 2 for Av. Very, very logical, and I couldn't be mad at it. But I still think Rumnitty is a better puncher than Av. Even if he didn't have a better year last year, I just think he is the guy for that, man. You know, he is the best puncher that we've ever seen up to this point, and I don't think he took such a step back last year where his material still is what you would expect from him. And even with those lower league slip-ups, if the guy can provide you a Loaded Lux versus Rumnitty battle of the year instant classic, I still think he's still very well deserving of that number 1 spot, and that's why even in 2025, although very debatable, I'm not mad at Av, I still have Rumnitty as the best puncher in our sport. But that is my top 5 current punchers in battle rap in 2025, man. And as I said in the beginning, this 5 is the same 5 from last year, but you know, with things rearranged. You have Big K dropping from 4 to 5, which isn't major, with the loss to Twerk directly too. You know, that would cause that to happen. Twerk dropping from 2 to 4, and I had some second opinions too, because I wanted to get, from people I trust, kind of some viewpoints on how they might like my list or see it. And when I had Twerk at 2 last year, it's not that you could say it's flat out wrong, but some people did view Av and Fonz more as that. I think Av going from 5 to 2 was a no-brainer. You could damn near go from 5 to 1, so he had to rise up the list, right? So I guess more of that convo is like Fonz and Twerk. And listen, I think Twerk is a better all-around battle rapper. I think they could have an incredible battle. And I do take more respect this time around a bit more to Fonz is definitely considered more of just a puncher than Twerk is. And even with similar talents, you could still debate that Twerk could even be over Fonz, right? But I hope that you guys kind of understand the logic there of guys that are more pure punchers who really can match it ability-wise there. Although I think we'd all say Twerk is probably a better battle rapper than Fonz, that in this particular part with the haymakers and the wordplay and what it is that goes into punching, there's only a little bit separating them, and if one guy is using it pretty much as their whole, like that is what they're using to get to the top, it's a bit different. And I'm still confident with Rumnitty there at number 1, but as I said before discussing it, I think with the year that Av had, you could put him up there. I don't think he just did it in punching, and that's where some people will get it messed up. I think the angling, the performing, more of that is also what took Av to the next level, while I still think on the pure punching ability, there's just still no one touching Rumnitty right now, man. But now, of course, I want to hear your guys' opinions, and I want to hear the good opinions, what you agree with, and of course, what you disagree with. Who should be lower? Do you think I'm crazy dropping Twerk a couple spots? I should have just kept it how it is. Do you think, is there someone you want to replace for Big K? Because he didn't exactly make the most noise last year. Still like very deserving of the 5 spot ability-wise, but is there someone that you think should jump on the list? And then, of course, between Av and Rumnitty, would you put Av at number 1, or do you agree with me at Nitty still holding the crown when it comes to punching? We will be doing these videos a little bit throughout the weeks. I am so much busier here in Denver, man. So the kind of backed off on like the every other day uploads. I don't know when I'll be able to get back just to strictly that on a super consistent basis. If you get a few videos out from me at a time, definitely, but it's harder for me to search for these creative topics with really all the changes I got. A lot of great stuff going on in life for me right now, but it's just taking me not away from battle rap, but you got to prioritize real life. You know what I'm saying? But of course, we're going to finish this series. We expect top 5 performers, top 5 anglers, and then top 5 pens, which I have a headache already knowing how much people are going to complain about that, but that will all be on the way within the next week and a half, 2 weeks, man. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I want to have the most dialogue we can on this series like we did last year. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.